One, two, three.
Hi, hello, and welcome to today's special vlog. I had invited a few of my family members over for a dinner party. It was kind of last minute as they had just confirmed the previous day and I did not have much time to go shopping or plan a lavish menu. So this is what I came up with. I decided to vlog this last minute to show you guys what all I prepared the night before and how I plan a menu in such a way that I'm not stuck in the kitchen when my guests arrive and I too have a good time. Stay till the end of the video to see how it all came together. Planning for the menu is my favorite part of any party. I like to sit and think what the guests would like to eat, what all I can prepare beforehand, what desserts I can make, but for this party I did not have a lot of time in hand. They had just confirmed the previous afternoon, so I had to come up with a super easy but delicious menu. For starters, I decided to make 2 tikkas. For main course, I decided to do paya and Hyderabadi chicken at home, so I can buy porottas and idiyappam outside. And for dessert, I had chosen a tray lache cake. By the time I had decided on what to cook and ordered groceries, it was about 6 in the evening. Even though it was a dinner menu, the guests would be arriving at around 4 in the afternoon. And I didn't want to be sitting in the kitchen and cooking dinner while they were at home. So I kind of had to cook and keep everything ready before 4 so I can just reheat and serve during dinner, which is why I got to work straight away. To make Hyderabadi chicken, here I'm taking about 1.5 kilos of chicken. A small tip that I use to assess the quantity I need to cook for the guests is I calculate about 2 pieces per person. Since I have quite a few items on the menu, 2 pieces per person would be accurate. I add just 4 or 5 pieces extra just in case they want to help themselves to more. If not, leftovers is not such a bad idea after all. The first thing I had done is to wash the chicken and keep aside so it can drain well. I'm also going to marinate for the tikkas and leave them overnight in the fridge so they can get some good flavor. For that, I would need some thick curd, so here I'm placing about 4 to 5 tablespoons of fresh yogurt onto a strainer lined with a tissue paper. Leave it aside for at least 15 to 20 minutes and you will see how much water will collect at the bottom. You can also place like a small cup on top so it will drain faster. Here I'm getting started on the dessert that's a tray lache cake or a milk cake. If you're like me, the dessert part of every menu always stresses me out. So I try to choose it in such a way that I can prepare beforehand, store it in the refrigerator and serve it cold. For the cake base, crack in 5 eggs into a bowl along with 3/4 cup of sugar and whisk until it's light and fluffy. To this, add 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of vanilla essence and half a cup of sunflower oil. Beat for at least 2 minutes. To this mixture, add about 3 tablespoons of rava or semolina. Along with this, measure 1 cup of maida or all-purpose flour and add it to the batter while sifting. At this point, don't use a mixer and fold it in really well using a spatula or a spoon. The exact measurement of every recipe is given in the description box below. Don't forget to check it out. Those are the measurements for 1 cake which can serve about 9 to 10 people. I made another batch because I wanted to send over for a few friends. Bake in a preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius for about 30 to 35 minutes. I switched on my oven while I was mixing the cake batter, so it's just in time. I always peel the onions the night before and store them in the refrigerator. Try doing that and you'll see how much of a time it saves. This is something I've learned from my mother. Back when I was young, I always used to see a few onions peeled, washed and kept in the refrigerator. Little did I know it was so time-saving in the kitchen. Here, Chechi is helping me with peeling the onions, washing them and keeps it ready for me. Now that the cake is in the oven baking, I can move on to frying the onions so I can get started on marinating for the Hyderabadi dum chicken. I usually store fried onions in the freezer for a quick use, but since I needed a large quantity for this, I decided to make it fresh. Having a sharp knife in the kitchen also helps in reducing a lot of time. Some of you message me from where and how I got my knife skills, and to be honest, with a good knife and a little bit of practice, it will naturally come to you. Frying the onions will take a little bit of time. So meanwhile, I'm going to soak 15 cashews and 15 almonds in hot water. Once it cools down, I'll peel the almonds and make a paste out of this that's needed for the chicken gravy. I don't multitask too much when I'm frying the onions because there have been many times where I accidentally burn them and then it's a whole other headache to chop new ones and fry them again. I put a timer on my phone and checked my cake after 30 minutes. It was slightly undone, so I left it in for another 5. Now that the onions are fried and out of the way, I wanted to prepare the milk solution that goes on top of the cake as soon as it's out of the oven. For that, I'm heating about 750 milliliters of milk. To a separate cup, I'm adding about 1/4 cup of sugar, milk powder, and 200 ml of cream. Mix it without any lumps and keep aside. Tres leche in Spanish means 3 milks, which is why this cake will have 3 different forms of milk in it. Once your milk has heated through, mix them both really well, making sure there are no lumps. By now, the cake should be done. I'm just poking a few holes into the cake so it can absorb the milk syrup better. Pour in the warm milk solution onto the warm cake. Make sure to do it gently and patiently so that you don't ruin the top of the cake. The cake is done, it can go into the refrigerator until the next day. Now that the cake is out of the way, I'm going to marinate the chicken for the gravy. To 1.5 kgs of the chicken, I'm adding 2 tablespoons of ginger garlic paste, half a lemon juice, 4 to 5 diced green chillies, and a handful of fresh coriander leaves. For the masalas, I've added 1 teaspoon turmeric powder, garam masala, 1.5 teaspoon of jeera powder and pepper, 1.5 tablespoon of coriander powder, 1.5 tablespoon of chilli powder, and half a teaspoon of cardamom powder. Add 1.5 cup of yogurt and the ground almond cashew paste. Add the fried onions to this and mix in really well. This gravy is so convenient and easy to make when you have a lot of guests. You just have to marinate, leave it overnight, and the next day keep it on the flame and cook until the chicken is well done. That's how simple it is, but tastes so delicious. Cover this and leave it in the refrigerator until needed. The cake is done and the chicken is marinated. Now I'm moving on to making the tikkas. Here I've taken about 1 kg of boneless thighs, half kg for each flavor of tikka. The reason the restaurant tikkas are super juicy is because of using boneless thigh meat. So if possible, try to use those instead of boneless breast. I always make it a point to wash the sink clean after washing any kind of meat. Otherwise, the entire kitchen starts smelling. The chicken thighs you get here in UAE are a little too big. So here I'm chopping them into 2 and dividing them equally between the 2 plates. One of them is going to be a butter chicken flavored tikka and the other one is the classic Malai tikka. There are around 12 guests and 18 pieces of each tikka. Since it's just a starter, I have calculated it as 1 tikka flavor per person and of course 6 extra pieces if needed. This is the yogurt that has been straining for about 15 to 20 minutes. You can see how much water has collected at the bottom. When making a marinade for any kind of tikkas or grill items, it's always best to strain the yogurt and use it. I needed about 2 tablespoons of yogurt for each tikka, so here I strained about 5 tablespoons of curd. For the butter chicken tikka, marinate the chicken with 1 tablespoon of chili powder, 1 tablespoon of coriander powder, 1 teaspoon of jeera powder, 2 tablespoons of the strained thick yogurt, 2 tablespoons of cashewnut paste, 2 tablespoons of fresh cream, half teaspoon of garam masala, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, a sprinkle of kasuri methi, 1.5 tablespoons of besan or gram flour, salt, and 1 tablespoon of ginger garlic paste. Mix it in really well and cover and keep it refrigerated until the next day. On to the Malai tikka. Marinate half kg of boneless chicken with 2 tablespoons of ginger garlic paste, half a lime juice, a handful of fresh coriander, and 3 to 4 finely diced chillies. 2 tablespoons of fresh cream, 2 tablespoons of thick yogurt, and 2 tablespoons of cream cheese. For the masalas, 1 teaspoon of garam masala, half a teaspoon of kasuri methi, 1 teaspoon of pepper powder, half a teaspoon of cardamom powder, and salt. Mix these all together really well and keep aside. This is all that I have prepared the night before. The cake is ready, the tikkas are marinated, and the marination for the dum chicken is ready as well. All I have left to do the next day is to make a small topping for the cake, make the paya, and cook the tikkas. We will order the porottas from a restaurant, and the idiyappams just have to be heated before serving. I had taken a break before marinating the tikkas to have dinner, feed Haya, and put her to sleep. So by the time I was done, it was quite late and everyone had gone to sleep. So I'm just quickly cleaning up the kitchen before I go off to bed. It's just always so nice to wake up to a clean kitchen. It just makes your starting of your day and your mind feel more fresh. I just had a few dishes that were lying around, so I'm quickly giving them a wash. Chichi had already washed most of the dishes, so that didn't leave much for me. Having a toddler in the house and trying to do everything last minute just doesn't work for me. Kids are unpredictable, so a little planning and organization goes a long way. The next day, I started my work at around 11:30. I had gotten 1 kg of paya the previous day and kept it in the fridge. I'm just removing them and giving them a quick wash. Payas are quite lean and don't have a lot of meat, so I calculated it as 1 paya per person. 1 paya is usually chopped into 4 by the butcher, so 4 pieces per person is plenty. The quantity I mentioned here is more than enough for a party of 10. I had quite a bit of leftovers to last us the next day, as I know I would not feel like cooking. Payas are usually unpredictable. Sometimes they cook in just a few whistles, and sometimes they need more than 10 to 15 whistles. So I like to pre-cook them with a tablespoon of ginger garlic paste, some mint, coriander, salt, and allow it to pressure cook in medium for at least 6 whistles. For the paya, here I'm soaking 10 to 15 cashews along with 5 to 6 green chillies, half a cup of coconut and 1 teaspoon of fennel seeds. Soak them in hot water for at least 10 to 15 minutes and grind it to a fine paste. This is the flavor maker for the paya. I just sliced the onions that were peeled last night, 1.5 tomatoes, a handful of curry leaves, 3 to 4 green chillies, a handful of coriander and fresh mint. Store your mint in a glass jar filled with water and cover it and keep it refrigerated. You will see that your pudina will last for more than 10 days if you store it this way. I got started on the caramel topping for the cake since it takes a while to cook. To a non-stick pan, add 1 tablespoon of butter and 3/4 cup of sugar on very low flame and leave it undisturbed. That will take a long time, so on the side I'm going to prepare the masala for the paya. To oil, add half a tablespoon of crushed fennel seeds and some whole garam masala. Add in your sliced onions and saute until they just start to change color. You can see that the sugar will start to melt. Just give it a mix gently. Once the onions are softened, add your curry leaves and green chillies and give them a toss. Be very careful and cook your caramel in very low flame. This is the color you want. To this, add 200 ml of cream and mix it in gently. Don't worry if your sugar starts to harden up, it will eventually melt away. Be very careful while trying to make this sauce because it is super hot and can burn you very quickly. Mix and cook until the sugar is completely melted and the sauce starts to thicken. This is what it will look like. It's a beautiful butterscotch sauce that goes so well with the milk cake. Cool this down for a few minutes and then you can add this to the top of your cake. Spread it evenly, and for a little decoration, you can add small dots of fresh cream all around your cake and give them a swirl. I'm not that good at decorating cakes, so this is the simplest thing that I could come up with. But let me tell you, this cake was the star of the show. It tasted 100 times better than it looks, I promise you. Back to the paya, I added about 2 tablespoons of ginger garlic paste and cook until the raw smell goes. To this, I added also a handful of fresh coriander and mint and sauteed it together. After about 6 whistles, I waited for the pressure to settle down and checked on the paya pieces. They were not even half done, so I knew it needed at least another 10 whistles. So I covered it and allowed it to cook for another 8 whistles. The rest of the cooking can be done with the masala. To the onion mixture, I added just 1.5 tomatoes and cooked it until they were completely soft. To this, I added about 1 heaped teaspoon of pepper and 1 heaped teaspoon of cumin powder. Just cook them for a few minutes until the masalas are cooked. Once the paya was about 90% done, I switched off the flame, allowed the pressure to settle down, added this masala to the paya. I also added the coconut cashew paste along with a cup of water and gave it a good mix. Adjust for salt, add another half teaspoon of pepper and jeera. You can adjust the consistency here. I covered and cooked for another 5 whistles until the paya was well done. By now it was about 2 o'clock, so I got started on my Hyderabadi chicken gravy. To a thick bottom pan, add some oil, whole garam masala and your marinated chicken. Let it cook on low flame and allow the chicken to start changing color. You can keep it covered until then. This will take anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes. So on the side, I'm going to skewer my tikkas and cook them. fold the pieces and skewer them to get that perfect restaurant look. I hope it's clear in this video that I'm showing here. This is what they're supposed to look like. Once the chicken has started to change color, you can add in some water and cover and allow it to cook. You can give this gravy a mix every few minutes just to make sure it doesn't catch at the bottom. Grilling the tikkas in an oven would be great, but since that's not possible, using a lot of butter gives you the best flavor. I also use a non-stick pan just for easier cleanup. Turn your tikkas a little more often so that they don't burn. In the meantime, I'm also skewering my Malai tikkas and getting them ready. Once the butter chicken tikkas were done, I washed the pan and kept it ready for the next batch. By now, the chicken gravy was done and all the oil had separated to the top. You can adjust for the consistency here, adding more water, and even check for seasoning and add more salt or lemon juice if needed. Cook your Malai tikkas in a good amount of butter and turn them often. Do keep scraping and cleaning off the pan of any burnt bits so that they don't give a burnt flavor to the tikkas. Once they were done, I transferred them onto a hot box to smoke them. Smoking gives an extraordinary flavor to the tikkas, so if you can, don't skip this step. Just light up small pieces of charcoal and add a few drops of oil onto the hot charcoal. When it starts to smoke up, cover and keep aside. The cake was ready, the chicken and the paya were done, and the tikkas were done. The house was clean. All that's left to do is to get ready. Finally, I'm lighting up some bukhur and it's all done. On the pan, I have the chicken gravy heating up as well as the paya. Here, I'm going to heat some idiyappams in a casserole. You can also steam them, but this was easier for me since my burners were already full. I reheated the tikkas in a pan tossed with some butter. It just took a few minutes and they were well cooked through. By then, the paya was well heated as well as the chicken gravy. This paya tasted so good with the idiyappams. Do try them out yourself, you will not regret it. This Hyderabadi chicken gravy was also a perfect combination for the Porottas. I love hosting people over for food. There's just something about gathering and eating together that brings a lot of joy and happiness. All that effort you put in seems totally worth it when you see everyone enjoying, laughing, and having such a good time. The dishes came out really well. Nothing was overly spicy and everything was kid-friendly as well. And the final star of the show was the milk cake. I'm not a big fan of desserts and I don't make them very often. I only have a few recipes that I make over and over again because I don't like experimenting when I have people over. And this particular milk cake never disappoints. That's all for today's vlog. I hope you enjoyed watching this. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel. Do hit the like button and comment below if you like these kind of videos. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back soon with another video. So until then, bye-bye.